Good morning. Good morning. Good morning. Welcome to this live stream this morning with me, Francois. Very happy to have you here. I see there's a number of people already on LinkedIn and also on YouTube. So thank you very much. I appreciate it. I know today is a special day, when you celebrate Easter and all of that. So I hope that you're going to have a lovely day with your family and that everything is going well with all of you. May you be blessed. And this is like one of those long weekends that you were looking forward to in January, probably already after the kids went back to school. And then things turned out differently. And it feels like you've been on a long weekend now for a long time. But that's cool. That's life. That's how we must adjust and how we do things. So that's cool. I am looking forward to today's topic. Today we're going to be talking about doing virtual client events. Yesterday, in yesterday's episode, I spoke about, I alluded a little bit to client events and how important they can be. I think we actually spoke about appreciation. And as part of that, the topic of, client events sort of popped into my mind. And I spoke a little bit about that. But I then thought, let me take that concept and let's do an episode about it. And as I'm going through it, this may probably turn into a two-part series to talk about it, because I don't think I'm even going to get to the technology today, the technology that we use or that you can use to do this. Today, it's much more about the different events, why you would want to have them. How do you go and transform from a physical face-to-face to a virtual client event, because there's a big difference between running training and client events and conferences and webinars. Those are all very different things with very different audiences, I think. And there's certain things that we're trying to achieve with client events. And those are the things that I want to focus on today. But let me say good morning. Good morning, Stephen. Welcome back. Happy to have you here. Malcolm, once again, thank you, Malcolm. Great to see you here. Elmine Lottering, welcome. Nice to have you here. Raymond, welcome back from South Broom. And Razan, good morning. And she's saying morning to Elmine there as well. Nice to have you all here. Thank you for saying hi. That is one of the important things that when you are here, please say hi so I know that you're here so I can personally greet you. And also that everybody else knows who's watching, and that if they want to engage with you and just say hi, maybe someone, you live in Cape Town and there's someone here from some small little place in the corner of South Africa somewhere, but you can say hi because you haven't spoken in such a long time. But if you don't say that you're here, nobody will know. Good morning, Sunny Bunani, Slanganani. Jean, good morning. Kirsty, morning, Francois. Happy Easter. May you have a blessed day. Wishes from Cape Town. Thank you very much, Kirsty. Same to you and your family. Have a good one. Good morning, Ronnie. Welcome. Then Terence, good morning, all. Kobus, good morning, my fellow professionals. Good morning, Kobus. Peter Stidham, welcome back. Neil Phillips, Mornay Venter, and Jaco van der Merwe. Good morning. Jaco, I think it's the first time I've seen you here. So welcome. If this is the first time, or maybe it's the first time you're venturing out on saying good morning, then good morning, and thank you very much for watching. I appreciate it. And so I hopefully today, and also, if you're watching the recording right now, thank you very much for watching the recording, and welcome to you as well. There's just one sort of requirement when you come to these sessions or when you watch the recordings, is that you need coffee. You need coffee. So without coffee, you can't do that. Good morning, Matthew. Welcome back. Nice to have you with us once again. Guys, so all the regulars in the house today, basically, I really appreciate it. And I'm not going to spend a lot of time, again, because I can go on and on and on. There's so many things that's running through my mind. Yesterday, we had that paint session. So my little Thor is really coming along quite nicely. It was like half frustrating in the beginning because it's been some time since I've painted, and it was interesting to me how you really forget some of the techniques or forget the process, because a lot of times there's actually a process behind it, and it took me quite a while to start to do that. But there were three of us. We had a great laugh and a great chat, so it was really, really nice to catch up with the guys as well. Arthur I've seen in January, but my other friend Quentin I haven't seen since his wedding. So yeah, it's been some time. So it was great to see both of them and just have a chat and a laugh. And sometimes people come up with weird and wonderful things. So it was one of those days which I really, really enjoyed, and we're going to do it again. So that was a virtual event if you want to, but yeah, we'll see. I see one of the sort of challenges. I don't know if you find this, that when you look at like a group call, for example, with a family. So on Friday we called all the family. So we tend to phone my wife's family and then get all of them onto one video call, and then my family the same thing. But the one problem that I sort of picking up with these apps is that you can't talk at the same time, which my wife's family tend to do. It's like, oh, everybody talks at the same time, and you go like, you can't hear. It's like, I don't know. It's like the audio is just bombing out. So it's almost like it's one at a time thing. So we need to train ourselves to sort of, almost like you talk, then you talk, then you talk, that kind of thing. And especially if people get into the conversation, they very easily get to that point. And so it's one of those things where, it's some interesting things that we're learning as we're going along, and learning about different apps. So maybe that's something I'll share. If that's something that you're interested in, you can let me know. If you're interested in me just maybe sharing with you some of the different apps that's available if you want to do like group calls, because WhatsApp can only take four calls at a time. There's other ones that can have more people. So I'm happy to share that with you as well. Please remember to subscribe to the YouTube channel if you're over there. Thank you very much. I really appreciate it. But you must subscribe if you're finding value, and if you really enjoy what we're doing. Please do that. It will be great to have you as a subscriber so that you are notified. And then while you're out there, please, like and react to this video, whether you're on LinkedIn or whether you're on YouTube. It helps me a great deal. So thank you very much for helping me out like that. I appreciate it. All right, let me just quickly check. Frans Harting, welcome back. Good morning. Yes, we've got a Super Cup for a Superman. Thank you, Peter. You're going to make me like, I'm a very shy person and very, very teruggetrokken, So, but thank you very much. I appreciate it. All right, I'm ready if you're ready. So let's get into today's topic. Guys, and please, you're welcome to ask your questions, share, your thoughts, maybe your experiences, opinions. If you have solutions available, those kind of things, just share them and just say, well, we use this, or we've seen this, or this is what we've been thinking about, Don't be shy to do that because, everybody's got their own way of doing things, and the more we can help and support one another. And that's what this community is all about. I'm building a community here that is there for one another and that wants to share. And we're not a community who just wants to keep everything for ourselves. We really, for me, is an abundance mentality is extremely important. Since I've made that switch about 2 years ago, my life has changed because of that. And I was always like, no, somebody's going to steal my stuff. And yesterday, again, on another show that I watched, somebody there was also asking, how can I protect my PDF so that people don't steal my content? It's like, man, it's going to happen. Most people are going to buy your stuff. Most people are going to come straight to you. And then there will always be that portion of people that's going to try and rip you off and take your things and make as if it's theirs. And that's fine. For me, it's about it. As long as the stuff gets into the world, that's fine. The right people will still support you and do that. So you must have that same kind of mentality. And that is part of being having an abundance mentality, which was not part of this talk. These things come into my head and then, I go off. But anyway, so let's start with the events. And we just close that. So, there are many different types of events. And I want to start off with what we are used to and what we know from a physical point of view, the things that we tend to do every single year. There are certain things that we attend. I think about things like the FBI convention. I think about things like the investment forum, those kind of things. The latest one, I'm not sure now, the investment forum, is that the same as the one that Kevin and them did now? Kobus, I can't remember. But there are these sort of big events that people go to, on an annual basis. It's sort of part of their calendar. It's part of their planning. And those are the kind of things that they attend, Leader X and those kind of things. So it's going to be interesting to see what happens. The FBI, for example, have moved their event to later in the year, I think to September or October, was it? But anyway, it's been moved, so it hasn't been cancelled, which I'm happy about. The accounting and finance show have been moved to later in the year. So there are a number of people taking their sort of conferences and expos and those things and moving them to later, because those are very big events. A lot of money has gone into it. It is the flagship event for the year. And, so those are the kind of things that we're used to. But I think we need to take that as a base and see how can we take some of it or take inspiration from some of these things that we attend every single year and say, how can we apply this to our own client events? Now, I don't know. Maybe I just want to ask. It's a pity that I can't do polls, but it will be great to find out, who of you are doing client events. If you are doing client events, or if you have done, even if it's one a year, it doesn't matter. Or you were planning to start with client events. Just say yes in the comments or in the chat, just so that I sort of get an idea. But I've seen people be very successful with offering client events, and I've attended a number of them. Where I was invited by them, just sometimes to come and sit in and give them feedback afterwards, and other times it was as a guest. I've been to things that were just meant to say thank you for everybody that sort of supports the practice for a particular advisor, etc. So those are big things that people are doing, and I'm telling you, it's going a long, long way to help them with their relationships with not only their clients, but also, sometimes we forget about our suppliers, then, if you will, or your insurance companies that's supporting you, or other businesses that's supporting you, the people supplying you with your F&A software. Or, often we forget about that part as well, because, ultimately we don't have a business unless everything works together. You can have the best clients in the world. You can only be working with your ideal client, but if there's nobody that's giving you the things that you need, and I think we will be naive if we think we don't need that, then we're really missing out on a big opportunity to grow our businesses from both sides. And you'll see this in the retail sector and manufacturing and wholesale and distribution and all kinds of other types of businesses. It's exactly the same thing, where the businesses move very close to their suppliers, which is a little bit different from our case. But you also know that if you call it in with a particular insurance company, because for whatever reason, you get a different level of service and maybe some other unique things from them that maybe you don't get from others. And I know about conflict of interest and all these things, but still, there's value propositions that get offered to the people who's inside the circle versus the people who's outside the circle, for example. So that's putting it very, very bluntly, but we all know that that's the case. So if I look at the different types of events, I think one of the most powerful types of events that you could host or that you could attend maybe is an appreciation event. So I'm going to go into each one of these in a bit more detail, but an appreciation event is very important, and it's exactly what it says it is. It is something where you show your appreciation towards whoever you invited to that. And I'll give you some examples of some great events that I attended in the last 2 years or so, which I think was fantastic. Then also, I think, maybe some people think that appreciation and celebration is the same kind of, in the same kind of vein. But I think to have something to celebrate, that's also a great event to host, where we just celebrate. We reach the milestone, or, what if the other way around? What if the client reached a certain milestone and you do something specifically for that? Then obviously there's marketing and prospecting. And I think this is the one that most people think about when they start planning events, is like, crap, we need more clients, right? So what are we going to do? We're going to invite our top 10 clients and tell them to bring their friends and their family and their whatever. That's usually the way that we go. But those are definitely one of the types of events that one needs to consider. Then obviously also a big one is charity. And I've got lots to say about that. So I'll get to that in a second. But charity is obviously another kind of event that we can host. And also charity is not always linked to an event. It is sometimes just a project or an outreach or something that you're doing. From that point of view. So, that's cool. And I want to talk about it just to sort of share my opinion. And then obviously you can have like workshop type events where you actually teach people something, or you do something that's going to really maybe help transform something in their lives that they are struggling with. And that can be also very, very powerful. but you can also combine some of these with one another. So you could have an appreciation/workshop kind of event, because at this appreciation thing is I want to say thank you. And because I want to say thank you, I've gotten this person to come and do this for you. And, it's something that if you really know your clients well, it will be something that maybe addresses something that they are struggling with. But those are the kind of things that or the kind of events that I think there is. If you can think of any other sort of type of events, maybe that I'm not thinking about, golf days and those kind of things don't count here. That will fall under marketing and prospecting, I guess. That could be an event, but I think that's more purely marketing. I'm talking about, if I refer to an event, I'm talking about getting certain people together. It's people that you have picked to invite, or it is somebody that you've decided, I'm going to do this for that particular group of people. So this isn't an open thing where you're selling tickets for people to come to an event. I'm talking about focused and planned type of events with a specific outcome or specific reason driving this event and why you're doing it in the first place. So let me just see quickly. Boom, boom, boom. Sure. Nice. Thanks for all the chats, guys. Whoever says he wish he could cut grass virtually as an event. Had to cut grass for the first time in 10 years with my neighbor's lawnmower. Humbling experience. That's my... That's going to happen today or tomorrow, at my place as well, Quiver. So, Kirsty is laughing at you, saying, you're funny. We've been using this time to do reviews through the Zoom app. Yes. I have not used it yet, but I've heard that there is an app called House Party. Yes, my kids are using it. Good morning, everyone. Good morning, Russell. Welcome. Then Kirsty said, good on you, Yaku, because with the markets as they are, it is a difficult time to do reviews. Yes, I think it takes a lot more effort, a lot more energy. Boom, boom, boom. Yes, it is, Ron. So the investment forum became a 100% virtual event. It was fantastic. And I think the amazing thing is, I don't know if they had a backup plan, but whether they did or did not, wow, they did it in it felt to me like in seconds. They went from a virtual, from a physical event to a virtual event. Because remember, they were going to start on Monday, and on Sunday the Sunday right before, the lockdown was announced. So, I mean, wow, that was absolutely well done to all of them and everybody that got involved. I think there's a screen share function in Zoom. He says to Neil that I missed something that Neil asked. I'm not sure. FBI conference is now 27 and 28 October. Thank you, Kirsty. Yes, it is. No, it's very friendly, very easy to share. Yes. Let me just see. Boom, boom, boom. Thank you, guys, for all the chat happening. I love it. Helping one another. That's great. I enjoy it. No, I don't, Matthew. I don't have a Hulk poster. There's quite a number of posters that I was looking at, and he was one of them. Obviously, everybody that's in the Marvel Cinematic Universe, I really enjoy. Even old Thanos, that's also one that I'm looking at. There's quite a number of posters that I would want to get once this lockdown is done. But no, I don't have a Hulk poster. That will be quite cool. All right, so let's start off then with looking a little bit more in detail on each of these types of events. And I'm going to start with appreciation events because those are the most powerful, I think. And one could have an appreciation drive or an appreciation project where you just call up your top 10 or top 50 clients, and you can be very strategic about it. I mean, you can literally go and say my top 10 clients, and however you define that, I hope that you have a way to define or determine your top whatever number of clients, but picking up the phone and just checking in with them and asking them how it's going, particularly during normal business times. But I mean, now that it won't be funny if you gave someone a call and say, hey, it's Francois here, just want to check in, how are you doing? Nothing about, oh, we need to look at your stuff, we need to set up a review, nothing. You don't phone about setting up anything. The whole point about appreciation is that you want to say thank you. You want to show your gratitude. That's it, okay? And I swear, even if a client says, you know what, Francois, I've been meaning to call you, we need to set up an appointment, says, yes, it's cool, John, we'll do that. But, that's not why I called. I'm calling really just to say thank you very much. I want you to know that I appreciate you. I appreciate your business. And I just wanted to check in to see how you and the family are doing during this crazy time. That's it, We because then suddenly you're top of mind, you really care. And I mean, hopefully you'll come from a sincere place and you'll do it because that is, maybe you didn't even think between all the running around, but maybe I need to just check in, and an email is not going to suffice. This is now where you need to pick up the phone and give them a call and chat to them. Don't set up a Zoom meeting. Don't send a WhatsApp. Don't any of that. Pick up the phone and call each one of your top clients, or 10 of them, or however many you want to call. And maybe spread them over a week. Don't try and give a call, because by the time you get to the 5th one, you may get tired. It's tiring to do these things. Well, for me, at least as an introvert, it's very tiring to make one call after the other. But you can also spread them over a week or over 2 weeks. But have a plan, But then also what we can do is have these appreciation events. And what that is really about is that, we can say, here's a group of people that we know that our business, they are the core of our business, for example. You can also decide to go with a group of people who are not yet, let's say from an income perspective there, but they've got loads of potential. Get them into a room and say, we know you early in your journey, for example. I'm just like, whatever comes in my mind at the moment. But it's just saying thank you for picking us, to walk this journey with you. We're excited for where you're headed. And then maybe during that, or in that session that you're doing, you've got somebody that come and talk that's going to add a lot of value to them. And it shouldn't actually be focused on financial planning or investments or the markets or anything like that. Okay, because then the intention is again to get business from this. No, do something that's got nothing to do what it is that you do, but that's going to have a massive impact on them. And sometimes it's easy to figure that out. Well, one, either you know them very, very well, or there's something that maybe you experienced that made a big difference in your life that you can also, sort of offer to them in that setting. Now, you can also do this on a one-on-one basis, where you do something special. You can have something delivered and do things like that. You can take somebody to dinner, which we can't do obviously at the moment, but that's also a way of a small appreciation event where you take a client and their spouse to dinner, or, what we used to do back in the day was buy people movie tickets and give them a night out, often the what are they, like Monte Casino, Silver Star Casino. I guess a lot of these Southern Sun casinos now, they offer these what they call date nights, or what do they call it? Is it date nights? Yeah. But they offer these packages, and you pay maybe like 250 Rand a person, and for that you get a movie, you get a movie, you can go eat at a restaurant. It includes sometimes a 2 or a 3-course meal, depending on. But it is such a nice experience to send people out. There's the thing. You don't have to do anything. If you want to pay for things extra, you're welcome to do that. But that covers everything for you and your spouse, and that's it. You don't even have to go with. But I think from an event point of view, it's great if you can spend some time with them to really get to know them. You can obviously also invite them to your place. So these are all the different kind of things in terms of appreciation events. So you can do them individually, or you can do them on a group basis, and both are equally powerful. You just need to choose the one that's right for that person, because sometimes maybe you have a client who don't like being in groups. They don't like being put into a situation where they need to interact with a lot of people. For them, the individual approach will be better. But for the other people, it's great to get everybody in the room. And also, here's the thing that you do create in that environment. You create an opportunity for them to network and get to know one another. And you start to build a community, because this is what these events are sort of about for me, is that you want to start to create a form of a community like we're doing here. I have many people that I work with, and I have many people that are clients of mine, and everybody gets invited to this, but only a certain number of people decide to show up. And you are starting to build a community with one another. Maybe, obviously, some of you know each other already, or you knew each other already from before this. Some of you are starting to interact. And next time you run into each other at a convention or some presentation or whatever, it's like you've known each other now for some time, so you're building more connections and networks and that kind of thing. And obviously, it's not always about, I always tell advisors that it doesn't help you going to the FBI convention if you're looking for clients. Okay, that's not going to help you, because there you go to meet up with your peers and network and find out what they are doing, and how can you do things. And you're also there to add value to others. So it's a two-way street, but it's It's about how we build our businesses and what we offer and how we shape our value propositions and those kind of things. And also to understand that everybody's in the same boat as you, that you're not alone. So from that point of view, but unless you are a financial advisor to financial advisors, you're not going to find clients there. Me, on the other hand, if I go there, I mean, my target market is there. So, you know, it's different, and advisors should start to attend their clients' kind of industry events. You know, if you work with accountants and you work with tax practitioners, for example, you know, if you advise them, if that's your target market, then you should be attending the accounting and finance show, for example. If you work with engineers, you should be attending their thing to see what's going on and to go network with people there. You know, so go where your ideal clients are hanging out and where they are spending their time. And often these events are a great place to do that. All right. Good morning, Khomotso. Welcome back. Nice to have you here. Thanks for saying hi. Yeah, my brain feels a little bit slow this morning. I don't know what's going on. Yes, so Kobe says there was no backup plan and Kevin decided on it the Saturday morning, only a day before the restrictions announced on the Sunday. Amazing achievements by Kevin. Now, I must say, I was really like, it was awesome. You know, yeah, and of course you're one of the guys that jumped in, and I mean, but yeah, just I don't know, what they've done was amazing. It was really, really great what they did, and to come up with that plan, I think, you know, and get things in place that quickly. It's just it's just mind blowing to me. I can just go here because it is really mind blowing, absolutely. All right, I'll get back to some of the comments. Alrighty, so then celebrations, you know, when we want to celebrate something. Yesterday I spoke about this particularly in yesterday's episode, where I was talking about, you know, we need to focus on milestones. If you're looking at your client experience, one of the things to really up the experience is to focus on the milestones that people achieve, whether it's your client or their children or somebody in their family, but you know, celebrate those milestones. So celebrations now can include that, you know, where maybe there was a few things that happened and you want to celebrate. So you can, again, take that client and their spouse out for dinner, or you can host a smaller group to say, well, you know what, the 5 of you achieved very particular things and we want to say, well done from our side, you know. So I think that's a great idea if you want to do that. But then also your own achievements. So if I think about, I didn't give an example now under the appreciation events, but, you know, last year, was it? Yeah, it was last year. I attended an advisor that invited everybody that there were no clients there. They were all people that support him. And it was amazing. It was this huge table that they put out, like it looked like a wedding. You know, just all the people that has some kind of form of input into his business and his practice. And it was really amazing to see, you know, and just to say thank you to these people, because often you'll hear that consultants will say, you know, it's a very thankless job. It's just always the one problem on the next, on the next, on the next. And I think it really has to do whether it's a good consultant or not. It's just that we tend to focus on only the things that needs to be sorted out. And we don't stop for a second to say thank you, you know. Just like sometimes you feel like, you know what, you're doing all of this, but nobody ever says thank you to you. And, you know, again, I'll go back to Dale Carnegie, who says, like, be interested and not interesting, you know. So if you care about others, starting to say thank you to them and say well done to them and celebrate with them, you know, often that will come back to you as well, that people start doing with you, because nobody's focusing on saying thank you and nobody's focusing on celebrating stuff, you know. And with celebration, I'm definitely not referring to a braai and having a lot of liquor and that kind of stuff. But yeah, I think it's just those 2 milestones that we need to think about, you know. Last year I attended Allegiance's Kobus Barnard, their business, Allegiance Consulting. They celebrated their 20th year. And, you know, I was really lucky to get invited to that, in my opinion. I do work with them, but not on an ongoing basis. It's like now and then. And it's, you know, I was there and it was all this huge group of people again, and the stories that he told us, you know, like how they started. And it's an opportunity to really showcase your business, but you're there to say, you know what, thank you for sticking with us. And whether you started working with us a year ago or you started working with us from day one, you know, we appreciate you. So again, it comes back to appreciation, but this is more of a celebration to say, well, you know what, we achieved this. And we just want to say this is great, we're happy, we want to celebrate, and come and join us in the celebration, because you make them feel part of your business, you make them feel part of your community and all of that. So that can be either about yourself, or it could be about the clients, whatever they achieved, about their milestones, and you just want to celebrate that. So those are also important kind of events, I think. And you already need to start thinking about, okay, so how do we do this digitally now? It's not to say that we have to move digital, because we don't really know where things are going or for how long we'll be in lockdown and all this kind of stuff. But I think there is an opportunity to have certain focused virtual events. It's not to say that now the investment forum is always going to be digital. No, you still want to do face-to-face, because there's reasons to do face-to-face. There are things that you can experience face-to-face that you will never be able to do digital. But does it now mean that if we're now in the period of life that we're finding ourselves in, that now we need to can all of this because now it's just not feasible anymore? Then we go to the new thing. I don't want to say the next best thing, but the new thing. There's a different way of doing this, because this is about communicating with clients. It's about keeping touch with clients. It's about making them part of your business and part of your community. That's important. And I don't know really many advisors that have focused on building a community around them. They've got clients. Ask them how many clients they've got. Ask them who they work with. Yes. But have they built community? And when you build community, one, everybody's got something in common. All right. So there's obviously the advisor, and the advice is the common theme there. But they then get to know one another, and they start helping one another, and they start talking to one another. That is what community is. Community is not just, oh, here's my 10 clients and I have a community because I've got 1,000 names on my database. That's not a community. A community is something that, this is like living in your neighborhood, but you're not involved in anything. You're not part of the community. You maybe live in that neighborhood, and that's great, but you're not part of the community unless you get involved, and unless you attend things, and unless you take action while you're there. So that's what you want to build, because that's when they're not going to find that anywhere else. So important that we do that. All right, then marketing and prospecting. This is the one we maybe know best, because this is all about growing your practice, right? This is all about growing your practice. This is the kind of event, getting back to yesterday, this is the kind of event where you will hand out those pens and those notepads and those golf balls and those, whatever it is that you've got, umbrellas and raincoats and, all these weird and wonderful things that you get in these corporate gifts books with your logo on it. That's a great place to do that. Please don't give them gifts like that in any of the previous events that I've spoken about. That's not a great idea. But when you do marketing and prospecting, that's what it is. So this is where you'll say, you know what, I want to invite you because you're my client and I really appreciate you, but also bring a friend or this or that. And the idea there is to get new clients, but to get more of the same kind of clients than your existing clients. So obviously, if let's say you work with me and you like me as a client and you want more little franchise, bigger franchise, whatever, then you can say, well, to franchise because I will bring people like me and people that do things that I do, for example. We all know people that are in different, let's say just for instance, you want to invite business owners. I know a number of business owners that I can bring with to an event as an example. All right. And then the whole idea is there. And then you want to showcase what it is that you do. You want to tell stories about the problems that you solve and the solutions that you provide and the difference that it's made. And there you can have things like, what's going on in the markets, what's happening, those kind of things. So that's great for your marketing kind of events. And we should definitely do those as well. But, you must just be very, I think that sort of the point that I'm trying to make, and hopefully you're picking up on it, is that the whole idea is to have you must have a very specific outcome in mind. You must know exactly why you're doing this event, because it is so easy to start off with an appreciation event and land up as a marketing or prospecting, because all we want to do is grow the business. And particularly when times are tougher, to just say thank you feels counterintuitive. It feels like, no, I must try and get an appointment. I must try this. I must try that. No, this is the time now to say thank you, particularly now, okay, because people will be open to it. Usually you phone a client and maybe they're not as available because they're sitting in meetings. Now they are not. So again, this is really, really great timing to do that. Then number 5 is charity. And this is the one where I've got lots to say about. Again, I want to go back to, you've got to be so careful that your appreciation event or your celebration event or your charity event does not change into a marketing / prospecting thing. Now, here's the thing about charity, right? I believe in it. I don't believe in standing on the rooftops and shouting out, this is what I've done for this and this is what I've done for that. Even the Bible says that, and don't ask me where it is, I just know that I read it, that it says that, when you help someone else, don't go and shout it out to everybody else. You do it in secret. That's it. Then you'll be blessed. You don't go out and you do this for, because then you're doing it for marketing. And it loses its power. It's quite another thing if that charity or that business or that person goes out and say, you know what, thank you to whoever, they did this for us and we didn't expect it, then that's quite a different thing. But don't ask them to do it, number 1. And number 2, don't you go and do it. Because often you'll see people are going, we're painting this and we're doing that. And then there's people taking pictures and it gets posted on social media. Oh, today was so great. We went to the SPCA and we did blah, 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 blah. And I'm just going like, why did you do it? You weren't sincere and maybe you were. But the problem is that it doesn't look that way to the outside. So this is just my opinion, guys. So this is definitely not, this is gospel and that's not how it is. Everybody's got their choice of how they want to run their business and how they want to market or do their thing. But I think there's so much more power in just helping for the sake of helping and not for the sake of getting anything else out of it. So that's definitely something to consider. And it's really about giving back. When you do charity, and it's great, what you could do is host a huge event because you want to, let's just say you want to, like the most people do, they auction off bachelors or they auction off artwork or people will donate things and they would have an auction and people would buy that and whatever they get to raise during that event, they then would give to charity. Now, things like that is just bound to get exposure, if it's big enough and you invite the right people and things. So that's okay. But I'm just saying, where you go out and do things in your local community and in your local town and things like that, go do it. If they want to post about it and talk about it and write about it and let the newspaper know, then that's fine. But you did it because that's real charity. You do it because you give back, because you want to make a difference. It's not about you, it's about them. And that's hard, as I said, because obviously we're looking at every single thing that we can possibly do in order to generate business. And that's fine. And this will generate business even without us making a thing out of it. Okay, I don't see any other comments on YouTube. Let me see. Boom, boom, boom. Great stuff. Kobus says, Frans, the future proof of our practice is a hybrid system between virtual and one-on-one meetings. Beyond this whole crisis, yes, the same hybrid system must be in place with robo-advice and financial planners. Yes. Kobus, now you make me think of something else that I actually also need to talk about. And Barry van Zyl, I can't remember if I think he did mention it very quickly in episode 13 when I interviewed him. We did speak, I think, just quickly about robo-advice, but I don't think we got into why it works and why it doesn't work, etc. But there's a very specific place for this, and this now gives me another idea for another episode. I've got so many ideas now for next week, by the way. So next week I'm going to have 2 guests, so on Wednesday and on Friday, and I'll talk about that in a second again. But that's great. So yeah, thanks. I will definitely remember this whole thing because I want to talk about different business models really, but things that we can offer for different types of clients, and that's really where it comes in. So I just want to make a note. It's lovely when we do live shows like this. Alrighty. So then the next one is obviously the next kind is workshops that I spoke about. Now workshops are a lot more educational in nature. They're meant to teach. They are meant to educate. They are meant to help people learn new things, make them aware of new things. So often what you'll find is that, your marketing and prospecting and your workshops can go together. You can also blend your appreciation and your workshop type things together. But the only difference would be when it's marketing and prospecting, I may want to teach them about financial planning concepts or things like that. When it's appreciation, I would want to teach them maybe something completely different, like with Johan Oosthuizen that we've had on that deals with Clifton Strengths. Maybe I'll have him to come and talk to people about, about their natural abilities and how they can use their strengths and things like that, because that's very valuable in your personal life. It goes beyond the business that I want to do with them. If I'm looking to do more investments of a particular kind, for example, I can have somebody come and talk about passive versus active, for example. Let's just say I want to do more passive kind of business. I can get someone to come and talk to them and teach them about this. And that would then form. So you also need to be clever about how you combine these different kinds of events from that point of view. And I think these are, I don't know, if everybody really considers all of this. I mean, another idea would be to say, well, let's have a talk about tax in your business. If you're focusing on business owners, then you can easily say, let's have a talk about tax for small business. One of the things that we're going to be doing very, very shortly is talk about, and this is not going to be, well, maybe it'll be on this show, but we're also going to do not a show, but a webinar for businesses about how to stay compliant. From everything from a compliance and a CIPC and those kind of things. How do you stay compliant? If you think about all the COVID-19 relief measures, all of them are requiring for you to be compliant, whether it's in terms of tax or your UIF or the compensation commission, whatever it may be, you need to be compliant. So there, my partner in the accounting practice, Ida, will join me for that. And we're going to talk about those kind of things. But those are things that can be very valuable to your clients as well. If you're looking at business clients, for example, if you have people who works a lot on commission, it will be very valuable to teach them of the things that they need to be keeping for their tax, for example, and what they can and can't do. Because often you find people get to the end of the year and then they didn't keep the things that they had to keep. And they, and what the other thing they did was they got a tax directive, for example, for 18% because they cooked the books in terms of the calculations, and then they get their 18% directive, but then they sit with a big problem at the end of the year. So, those are things that will add value, but particularly from a marketing and prospecting point of view. I don't think so to say to someone, listen, I appreciate you. I'm very grateful that you are a part of my business. Thank you very much for everything that you do for us and that we have the opportunity to work with you. Know that you're important to us. Oh, and by the way, if you want to look at your tax at the end of the year, these are the things that you need to consider. Those two things just doesn't go together in my opinion. So those are the kind of workshop, more stuff, but you can combine them, as I say, with the other types of things. All right. So obviously then this is really what this sort of session is about taking it virtual. Now, today I want to talk about sort of the things that you need to consider and things that needs to be in place and things that, how we go about planning this and how do we get to a point where we can take some of this virtual. And tomorrow we'll talk more about the technology and more of the actually doing it. But for me now, this is more about understanding what the process will be and where we will get to and what we're trying to get to, etc. So that's very, very important again from there. Good stuff. So let's do that. So obviously the first place to start is what are you trying to achieve? What is the goal with this event? And also to think about it from a, just if I had my physical event, how would I have done it? And I've Wynand, that friend of mine, he's actually planned and is hosting. Well, I don't know. We're still waiting to see what's going to happen. But he's done a fantastic idea, and that's exactly what he wants to do, is to say thank you. So they've booked out a chef school where they do this annual tea kind of thing with all the cakes and things that the students have baked, and because they're really focused on those kind of things. So they have this tea morning, if you will, and he booked out the entire thing just for his clients. And I think that is a fantastic idea. And, the whole purpose behind it is just to say thank you, There's no marketing, there's nothing, there's no speakers, nothing. It's literally just everybody sitting down. I guess he'll say welcome and thank you for being here. I just want to say, this is just my way of saying thank you. I hope you enjoy the day. And then he spends time, goes around spending time with people in the groups. But those are great things. But now, what if we can't do that? okay, then is there an alternative? Is there another way of achieving the same form of outcome, but virtually? And it maybe sounds easier than it is. But just remember also that clients are attending a lot more webinars. They're attending online meetings. So they are getting very comfortable with all of this. I mean, how many of you have attended our live online Zoom trainings, our live, the refresher that we had the other day? What are the things that you've done? You've done online courses. You've done online CPD. These things are not new anymore to people. And a lot of people have gotten exposed to all of this very quickly in the last number of years, or the last number of weeks, sorry. So, it's going to be great. And people are going to be a lot more open to this. But that means that also, just remember this, that if all the advisors out there are now listening to this and they start like, oh, we need to have our own online event, the more people who's doing it, okay, the more important it's going to be for you to stand out. Because usually the more people get into something, the worse the quality gets. Because not everybody is going to take the time and follow a process and make sure that they do this thing properly. They are just going to, like, maybe the video is bad, maybe the audio is bad, maybe the arrangements and everything around that surrounds that whole event, the marketing, the messaging, all of it is not great. So it just gives, these events are just nonsense. So we really need to set out, and this is why I'm going to share these things with you in taking it virtual, is to say, well, you must have your goal. You must be very, very clear on what it is that you're trying to achieve through this event, because that informs the rest of this. It's like anything. If you don't know where you're going, you may not end up where you want to be. I think the biggest thing now next to that, this is why I've been going on and on about this, is like, you need to make it compelling. You got to make it stand out. You've got to say, I can't miss this. I have to attend this. So it's got to be a very, very big message, a hard message behind why it is that you're doing this virtual event. What is in it for them? Remember that. It's not about you. It is about, yes, I want to say thank you to you. And so we've done certain things for you. And you are the center of this whole thing. We're really we're doing this event for you. So focus on them and what the reason is why they need to get. But you've got to have that very, very compelling message that surrounds, and maybe a very compelling story around this, and something that will intrigue them and get them to be interested in this event. Then I think something that's important is, is having great video and great audio. I did mention that quickly, but you have to really, really consider that, because it does make a big difference in terms of this. So I always get a lot of good feedback and just good, comments about the audio, the quality of our audio, because the thing is that audio is much more important than video. But if you have both, it's so much better. It just seems so much more professional. It's just fantastic, and luckily, I think we've been lucky up until now where we haven't really had issues with the internet. So I don't know if the issues are still coming. A lot of people think that things are going to be overloaded, but I also think that people are preparing for the capacity, and that it's not like we're sitting back and seeing what's going to happen. So people are, all the ISPs and that is definitely looking at capacity and how they can make sure that things don't fall over. Because that's the big danger that we sit with a fully digital world, is that, if that thing goes down, then we're screwed again. So we still need a backup plan. But so make sure you have that, so that can go to the level that the investment forum went to, where they have proper, a whole production team, and that obviously that's not feasible for everybody. If you want to have that kind of event, if you are somebody that, let's say the FBI, if the FBI went digital and virtual with their convention, they would need to do things like that. But for you and I, who's maybe running small little client events, etc., this is just get a nice camera, and this was 1,200 rand camera. I don't know, I think this thing is now, I guess, closer to 4,000 thanks to the demand. But it doesn't matter, this is an HD level camera. You make sure that you've got fiber, make that investment so that you've got proper internet connection, be able to plug directly into your router. Those are small little things, and I speak about that in having successful virtual meetings as well. But those are simple things that we can do, and then invest in a good microphone and a good audio setup. This can cost you anything from 2,000 rand to 4,000 rand just for a good setup. Okay, my entire setup was more than that, but that's because I'm a geek and I'm a nerd. That's the reason. But you can have a very solid and a very good setup
for between 2,000 and 4,000 rand. A lot of people say, Francois, that's a lot. But you buy it once, it's an investment, and you use it over and over again. You use it for your client meetings, you use it for your events. Whatever it is that you're doing, you are set up to stand out from the rest of the people who's using their little camera on their old laptop and their built-in microphone that doesn't sound good. So this is all up to you about what level you want to take it. But if you really want to stand out, I mean, if you had an event, you're not going to like not have tablecloths and just have the tables there and plastic chairs. And no, you're going to make sure that it looks nice, right? So you must take that same sort of thoughts into this virtual event and say, how do I make it nice? And how do I make it nice has got a lot more to do with just the actual delivery of the thing. It obviously starts with the whole planning and the preparation and all of it. But also then, you know, the whole process, and I'll talk about that tomorrow, the whole process about how do we go about inviting people, how they book, how we follow up with them, how we remind them, not really follow up, because follow up a lot of the times are giving them or making it seem like they've got an option to back out. No, we remind them that they've booked, and we remind them that we will be live on whatever date. You know, so those kind of things. So you got to make sure that you're on par and that you stand out. You have to. You've got to make it, this is going to be awesome. I have to attend this. All right. And then this is really about, you're not just going to move your physical face-to-face kind of event to a virtual stage, if you will. You have to transform into that. This isn't switching off here and going on there. No. This is a transformation that needs to happen. Presenting like this, there's a lot of things that you need to consider, because you definitely don't want to do this via PowerPoints. You want to have a camera, you can look people in the eye, you can engage with them directly. As I said, you want to make sure that everything works well, and that even that if you're able to record the session, so that if somebody is unable or they have issues on the night, you know, that they can go and watch the recording and still feel part of it. But those are some of the things that I'm just, you know, when we do virtual events, that I think we can still do that. I definitely believe that you can have a some form of an event, and you can keep it small, you know, and you can decide what you're going to do and how you want to position it. Do you want to have like a big Zoom meeting kind of thing, you know, where you have 10 people in the room, all with their cameras on? Or do you have this kind of setup where I can't see you, but we are, you know, so you need to consider what it is that you're doing. And I'll talk about all of that tomorrow, about how you decide what the best route and option will be for you. So just some feedback, maybe. I mean, has there been value in this? Is this making you think of some ideas? Is this something that you'll be interested in doing? Let me know. It'll be cool to know. So Quibber says MDRT will be running their annual conference, which were to be held in Anaheim in the USA, with normally 10,000 plus attendees. The event will now be 100% virtual in June, and at only 149 versus the average 790 will be a fantastic achievement. Absolutely. And just, I mean, it's not sad for the travel industry, obviously, but I mean, on top of that 790, I'm pretty sure you still had to buy your plane tickets and your hotels and all of that. You know, so it'll give more people the opportunity to attend sometimes. Although I know that MDRT that's a huge thing. But I mean, just in general, if I refer to these kind of events in general, I mean, just think about that. If you are able to deliver, and this is just a dangerous thing that we need to think about, right? We shouldn't be discounting the value of an online experience versus that of a physical experience, just because there's less costs. So you still need to think about that. But fact of the matter is that one could do it at a lot cheaper, which means that you can offer it at cheaper. And because people don't have to travel and stay over, and the costs are a lot lower for a lot of the things, you may very well get a lot more people attending. I've been part of a few virtual summits, which run over 3 days often, you know, where they do like exactly like you would go to a conference, is that there are multiple speakers on the hour or on half an hour or 45 minutes. And that's how they run it. So different people come on, and it's actually great. You know, it's like having this session, just maybe 3 or 4 of them. So they don't go for the full day. It will usually be a morning, the next morning, and the next morning after that. But you can also decide that's the one I want to attend, and that's the one I want to attend, and this is the one that I want to attend. You know, so one could really run great events like this, and it's easy, you know, if you're looking to do that. All right, so my guests, as I said, on Wednesday, I've got Wessel Oosthuizen, and with Wessel, he's got some interesting things that he wants to share. Well, I asked him to share because he shared it with me, and it was eye-opening for me. And I said to him, well, can't we do this for everybody on the show? And he graciously said, yes, with pleasure. Luckily, it's not like he has to go anywhere or he has anywhere to go. All right, although they're still running the businesses from their homes. I had a nice chat with him on Thursday. And then on Friday, I'm going to have Kobus Klein on. Kobus, thank you for agreeing. And I want Kobus to share with you, and there's a lot of things that he's going to share. I will announce all of that a bit closer to Friday. But just the gist of it is that we are going to be talking about, how he creates his client experience, and running his business from an office-based, and those kind of things. So practically, what he's doing, how he's creating this true wow experience for clients. And I've really been at the receiving end of that experience, and it's really great. A lot of the things that I shared in my stories yesterday when I spoke about client experience, I've experienced there, and it's funny how you notice those things when you don't see it that often. It's so easy. When the second person in the row smiles at you and say good morning and ask you how you are, I mean, it's not like, what's going on? It's like usually people ignore you. Just net vir my vrou, dit gaan nie, please. That's usually what happens in most businesses. I mean, I went to the banks for years looking after advisors, and trust me, the experience is horrendous in most of those places. You go to other people's like, are you interrupting me? I just think about other places that I go to, like go visit the doctor's office. Those receptionists are definitely some of the most unhappy people I've ever seen in my life for some reason. But it's so my point is this: to stand out is very, very easy. And Kobus is going to share with us a lot of the things. And also I asked him to talk about, how does he make clients advocates for him? Because that's important. When I asked for topics, how many people got back to me and said to me, referrals, how do I get referrals? How do I get people to refer people to me? How do I get them to? So I have a lot of content around that. But I thought, let's get somebody who's really, really getting that right, and I think it'll be great for you to hear Kobus' story beyond what you always see on social media and beyond what you may know, what you think you may know of him. What are the things that he's doing on a day-to-day basis? Because those are not the things that he's talking about when he's out there. He's always advocating for the profession and always trying to drive things from the profession's point of view. He's not communicating directly to clients, or that's what we think. So I think that's going to be a very exciting conversation to have, Kobus. So thank you very much, and I'm looking forward to that. And on that note, let me just see if there's any last comments. Francois, Ronnie's asking, Francois, can you give us basic specs for camera and microphone to order from Takealot? Absolutely, I've done that for plenty of people. On the microphone side, I mean, with a microphone, it's quite interesting, because there's some good gaming headsets, and I'm a Logitech. Look, I believe in Logitech. So my camera is a Logitech C922 HD. So it's got to be an HD camera. The one thing that you need to look out for HD cameras is that, but then also I must just say you need a fiber line. Okay, if you don't have a fiber line, it doesn't help you getting the highest HD camera that you could possibly get. But mine is a 1080p, so that's a higher resolution. That is just what's normally referred to as full HD, I think. And then you've got, but most of the cameras, if you go into a shop or onto Takealot and you just look for a webcam, a HD webcam, they will all be 720p, which is it's still HD, but it's smaller. So the problem that you sit with is if you've got a client that sits with this massive TV at home and he's watching this thing live on his TV, it may not look as great as you think it looks. So usually, like, the 1080p at least gives you full HD. So that should be fine on bigger screens as well. Overseas they go to 4K and those kind of HD resolutions, and even some now 6 and 8K, but that gets ridiculous. You need massive computers to do that. But 1080p is what I'm running. This session particularly is broadcasted at 720p because the software or the service that you use to do this will also adjust that. But Zoom, most of them adjust to 720p. And you can see that when you go onto YouTube, that this is not, it's the maximum quality it'll give you is 720p. But still, I have a camera that can do more than that. It works great. It's a lot better than my built-in camera. Also, I can position it differently. Yesterday, when we did the painting, I put it on a tripod and it was standing on the side so that everybody could sort of see what it is that I was doing. I could talk to them. So it's great. It's got a built-in microphone, but again, you don't want anything that's built in. So from that point, the C922 for me is the best camera that I'm using and that I've used, and that works for me. You can also look at, there are smaller ones if you want to go with a 720, but look for a Logitech. There is the Logitech Brio, but I think that's a 4K camera. So you can have a look at that. The on the microphone side, what you want to look at is one of two things. So either get a Logitech gaming headset, and I can't remember the model number now, but they're around 500 to 600 rand, roundabout in that range, or between 400 and 800. If you look there, I think that's a good solid thing, because then it's got the headphones that you need to put on so that things don't echo. The other reason is that, I mean, when I'm doing it like this, I don't have my headset on, because I don't need it, because nobody's talking back to me. There's no audio coming out of my computer that can feed back into my microphone. But when you're doing these live sessions, and they are going to be like Zoom, where you have multiple people talking, you might get feedback to the microphone. So that's why you always see me do webinars, or you'll see me do like meetings. If you have a meeting with me, I'll always have my headsets on, just for that. So getting something that's maybe got both built into one another, it's still great quality for the microphone, and then you also have the headphones at the same time. Otherwise, what you do is you look for a USB microphone. Now, Rode, sorry, you'll see here everything you see. It's a Rode microphone. This is called a pod mic. But the thing is with this is an XLR microphone. So what it means is it's got a cable that's got those 3 pins. They call it a Canon plug. So it's got a round plug with 3 pins in it that goes into the back of this. So this is this kind of cable here. And then it goes into then you need what they call an audio interface. So you can't plug this directly into your computer. So it needs to come through my mixing desk here, and then via USB into my machine. You also get other ways. So I'll talk about that maybe if you're interested in me talking about it. I've had a number of people ask me about my setup and how I use it, and so I can have a whole discussion just on that. But let me know if you're interested. I can definitely do that to explain all of this in a bit more detail. But you also get microphones that has a USB thing that goes in the back and goes directly into your computer. And Samsung, there's some of them, a Samsung microphone, but you can just go and Google or search on Takealot for a USB microphone. So that'll be something that I can just plug directly in. I buy all my stuff for my audio things from Tom's. I think I said the other day at Tom's. So I don't know if you've got a Tom's in Cape Town, Ronnie, but I buy everything from them. There's an M Audio, so M for Mary, M Audio microphone. That's also not bad. I think that's 2,000 or 2,500, but it plugs directly into it. And you got to understand that if you want good quality, you can't go for the cheapest microphone. There's a reason that microphone is so cheap. So buy the mic and get advice on the mic that is meant for voice and meant for being talked over. And it's not a general microphone that's going to pick up everything that's happening across the street as well. So we can get into all of that if you want to as well in some episode during the week. I'm more than happy to do that and share with you all the things that I've learned and things that I considered and things that we did to make this whole experience for you better. So you're welcome to let me know. All right, cool. I hope that answers your question. Whoever says he looks forward, I'm looking forward to share with our community. Yes, and I like it. Our community. It's not my community, it's our community. And you're all part of it. Thank you very much for that. Neil says, thank you for today's session. Very informative. Enjoyed the day with your family. I haven't worked yesterday. I didn't work on Friday. And I'm also not going to work today. So apart from today's session, I am taking it slow. I'm going to definitely take out the Weber Braai and put something on there today because I want to be outside. It's such a beautiful day. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you very much for being here. I really appreciate it. Thank you for spending your morning with me. And I'll see you back tomorrow morning at 8 a.m. Same time, same place. And I hope you have a fantastic time with your family. Stay safe. I'll see you tomorrow.